He had to break this habit. He knew he did. His entire sleep schedule and general sanity was depending on it. His body was aching with a heavy weight, eyelids even heavier as he glared at the bright screen. That damn green dot was taunting him, seeing just how much he was willing to push himself until he fell over the edge and gave in. But for the longest time, stubborn pride prevented him from taking any form of action, instead testing his patience until all the built-up fatigue came crashing on top of him. Why did your sleep schedule have to be more messed up than his, after he went through all the trouble to fix it too? He knew he didn't have to stay up. You weren't forcing him. Hell, you didn't even know the reason Hitoshi was awake was solely because you were. But the chance to talk to you well over waking hours caused a spark to flicker in his heart. Late nights bring about honesty, and he desperately needed that. 1:45. Late for a weeknight. Hitoshi didn't care. Tonight was the night. It had to be. His fingers were numb over the keyboard, circles blinking green beside his and your name. He wondered if you noticed. He wondered if you were lying there, head full of meaningless noise. He wondered if you were up talking to someone else, like you could think of nothing and no one else to spend your late night with. He quickly shook the sunken feeling building in his chest, his sense of confidence rising and falling and making his head spin. He typed out a quick message. Hey. He deleted the text just as quickly. How basic. How are your classes going? Too academic. I need you to go to bed because your online status at 2 in the morning is really tempting me to spill my feelings for you, and I'd rather not have that. Ugh. He could feel his face warm at the mere thought of sending that to you. What would you say if he came clean like that? You would think he had gone insane. He erased the message, sighing. He swiped over to the next tab, lavender gaze lingering on the circular outline of your profile. White letters shone with your name, the pale gray status sitting just below it reading, listening to Spotify. Curiosity took over for a split second, Hitoshi tapping your profile and bringing out the song you were currently playing. Only Us from Dear Evan Hansen. He wasn't surprised. You loved your musicals. An idea came to mind, and Hitoshi rolled his eyes. It was incredibly cheesy, but you might get a laugh. And if he was lucky, he might get your attention for the night. He located the Spotify app on his phone. He typed the name of the song, copied the link, and hesitated on the send button on your profile. This was his chance to finally start a conversation with you, after multiple nights of hoping you would notice him through the blinking green dot. The Phantom of the Opera's Think of Me. Uncanny, really, but you were the one who introduced him to the franchise. Hopefully, you would play along and pick up what he was discreetly putting down. A minute or two passed after Hitoshi sent the song to you, biting his lip in anticipation at your lack of response. He clicked back to your status, and you were listening to the song, the white line slowly progressing through the music player. A lump of nervousness suddenly appeared in his throat when small text flashed at the bottom of his screen. You were typing. Anxiety boiled in the pit of his stomach. He skimmed through the screen when his phone vibrated, dim light still bright against his pitch-black room. Your message read, I think of you, Hitoshi. Don't worry. His heart hammered against his ribcage, feeling both heavy and weightless at what he just read. He didn't miss the cheeky emoticon beside your message, and he couldn't stop the grin fighting its way to his lips as he typed back. Doubting that. Feelings of denial poked and prodded at his brain, watching as you sent another text, followed by another. I'm serious, dummy. What's got you up so late? Hitoshi scoffed. Like you don't want to talk. Don't start with me, sir. You're the one listening to musicals this late at night, he responded. You're the one sending me musicals instead of going to bed, you argued in return. He could already see the cute pout you would do when you weren't being taken seriously, the fires of recklessness making unruly thoughts swarm his head. What would it be like to kiss those lips? Soft and tender? Rough and hungry? How would your touch feel against his skin? Would it be a timid caress of his arms, grazing towards his face? Or would they wrap around his neck, pulling him down until your chest was flush against his? What would happen if you were right in front of him, right now? Past 2 in the morning. A quiet night, dim lights, cold air. He'd look to you for warmth, and you would do the same. Who knows what you two would get up to? He hastily reined in those thoughts, reprimanding himself for even considering such a thing. He may have liked you since freshman year, but just because he was about to graduate high school doesn't mean the fiery pit of passion could overtake him. He looked back to his phone, utterly disgusted with himself. There were messages he failed to notice. You didn't answer my question. What's got insomnia kicking your ass? He bit his lip. The desperation to reveal his innermost feelings for you bubbled heavily in the deepest parts of him, words just aching to be spoken aloud. He didn't respond, thinking of a valid excuse that could steer this conversation away from his rampaging thoughts. Minutes passed without a message back, and he jumped in surprise when his phone started vibrating, your name written clearly on the screen. You were calling him, possibly a stubborn attempt to earn a response from him. He stared with uncertainty at the screen. There was no escaping your awaiting questions once he picked up this call, but it also gave him the chance to hear you. With lingering hesitance, he hit answer, his camera automatically turning on. How dare you? He mumbled, refusing to turn towards the screen. I wasn't prepared for you to call. But you still answered, Toshi. Your voice caught him off guard. It was soft, almost intimate, his nickname effortlessly rolling off your tongue. He never heard you like this. The rambunctious and overwhelmingly cheery voice he was expecting was lulled to a delicate hum that swayed his heart. And I thought this would be easier than texting. So what's wrong? Hitoshi was certain you could see his pink-tinted ears under the otherwise dim light, but he still peeked from his arm at the screen. On one half was his face staring back at him. The other was your circular profile, backed with a solid beige color. Why do you care so much? He found himself asking. He instantly bit his tongue, the question coming off more rude than he intended. Curse the bags under his eyes and the sleeplessness weighing down his back. Ooh, somebody's got some snark, you commented flippantly. Judging by that nasty tone of yours, mister, I'm guessing you haven't had a good night's sleep? If you only knew, Hitoshi thought, responding instead with a drawled-out yawn. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tosh. Despite being able to hear your voice, and the amusing level of sass residing in it, Hitoshi still felt a sense of loneliness wafting through the room. Can I see you? He could feel his throat going dry, and he prayed you couldn't see the warm pink haze travel to his cheeks. What a stupidly needy request. But you didn't think the same. With an airy chuckle, the screen blinks black before the softly lit sight of your face appeared before him. All you had to do was ask, you said, a blissful look towards the camera. Hitoshi could barely prevent the bashful smile rising to his lips, his heart fluttering at the softness of your voice. Aww, are you that happy to see me, Toshi? You teased, causing the man to cover his mouth, concealing any further implications that he was unbelievably giddy. In your dreams. He shot back, slightly muffled, but you giggled nonetheless. He was finally able to witness your smile. Maybe not in person, but the delicate way your lips curled with a tiny dimple, the rhythmic sound of your laugh, it was all for him to see. A feeling bubbled up from Hitoshi's chest, words forming in his head and echoing from his mouth in a gentle stream. He'll take his chance. You're adorable, he admitted, not at all concealing the affectionate lilt that laced his tone. The words hung suspended in the air, weighing down on him as he waited for your reaction. There was no way you didn't hear it. Your smile disappeared. He could see the emotions running through your head, reflecting in your eyes as you slowly blinked at the camera. Your mouth opened, and a massive blush erupted on your cheeks. He had never seen such an honest reaction, especially from you. He wanted to see more. You can't say that. You groaned with a pout. Your flustered attitude brought a surge of confidence in Hitoshi. Why not? You know you are. You know how honest I can be. He mused, now fully facing the screen. You groaned again, and Hitoshi could see you were trying to bite down a smile. You were too cute. Why are you hiding away? It's not the first time someone called you cute. Because, you mumbled. Because what? You were silent for a moment before shaking your head with a squeak, burying your face deep into your pillow. Hitoshi repeated himself, heart burning with longing and desperation. How long could he hold on to the slowly unraveling thread before everything fell apart and his emotion swallowed him whole? You finally answered, voice a hesitant whisper. Because it's different when it's you. The thread snapped. Hitoshi fell. Was that so? He asked, voice suddenly raspy. Heat trickled up his back. Those words struck against his heart, sparking a flame that grew and consumed him. Is it a good different? You agreed instantly, your voice cracking. A smirk formed on his lips the moment he heard the sound. The dark brought upon a feeling of uninvited hunger that pounded at his ribcage, heavy steps crossing over an unspoken line between friends. That was new. This was terrifying. He wanted more. Do I make you nervous, kitten? The pet name naturally slipped, like he used it to refer to you 1,000,000 times before. You let out another squeak in surprise, but Hitoshi saw the pillow shift as you nodded. He chuckled. Is that why you don't look me in the eye sometimes when I'm talking to you? You nodded again, and another laugh rumbled from his throat. He never knew he had this effect on you. You treated him the same as you would any other student, that he thought you were far out of his reach. But here you were, your teasing disposition coming undone as you turned away with the sweetest blush Hitoshi had ever seen. All because of him. Oh, how the tables have turned. Why are you like this all of a sudden? Because you're here, he answered boldly. Stop kidding around, Toshi. He whined, the red on your ears giving you away. I'm not. He pushed. This was the last thing he would joke about. He wanted you to know that. He wanted you to know of the countless nights where you kept him up. Countless nights of blinking green dots and hesitant text messages. Countless nights of unspoken confessions that brewed in the back of his mind. What makes you think I'm kidding? You're not the kind of person to joke around with something so cheesy. How do you know? I've known you for years. You wouldn't. Maybe I'm different when it's you. He repeated your words, and he watched as you stared directly at the screen, brows furrowed with undeniable uncertainty. Why was it so hard for you to believe him? Seconds passed in a contemplating silence, Hitoshi only breaking it the second you looked away from the camera. You still don't believe me, do you? I refuse to believe this is second nature for you. I don't think you're serious at all. Your tone wavered, as if you were trying to convince yourself. And come on up. Let me show you how serious I am. He didn't know where it came from, the rush of confidence stringing together words he never thought he would say. Hitoshi! You fumbled, your phone sliding to face the ceiling. It was clear you weren't expecting it either. Aizawa will... I don't care. I want to see you. He was pushing his luck. He knew that. He would never directly disobey his teacher. But the hunger burned like a reckless hellfire, igniting the final shreds of his carefully crafted conscience. This was honest. Too honest. But why? Your voice was distant. Your ceiling stared back at him. Why wouldn't I? You're beautiful, Hitoshi said solemnly, placing his phone down. His heart was beating mercilessly, closing his eyes and letting the words speak for themselves. You don't get how many times you keep me up at night. I constantly look back at our old messages and conversations, wishing it was more than just, hi, hello, how are yous? I want to be open with you, the way you are to other people. I want to be something more than just a subject of pitiful courtesy. Feelings of confidence and fear mixed and tangled in his chest, causing chills to break out on his skin. I want to be honest with you. I want to be close to you. More than a friend could be. Toshi. Please, let me show you that I mean every word I say. His words bled with hope, his feelings laid out for you to witness. The moment he could only dream about for nights on end was suddenly before him, awaiting your response with bated breaths. There was tension in the air, so thick he could cut it with a knife. Your line was quiet. All he could see was the fairy lights strung across your wall, flickering ever so gently. The silence was deafening. The room was hot with anxious anticipation. He knew he was being careless, nights of unresolved pining and unspoken emotions sharpening his tongue. Beads of sweat began to accumulate on his brow, the terrifying thought of you leaving, choosing to forget this conversation, causing his muscles to tense. There was a low mumble he couldn't decipher, followed by a distant shuffle. The light from his phone suddenly dimmed, the darkness of his room engulfing him in a bitter haze. He lifted the phone to his face, and only he stared back. You left the call. He wasn't surprised. He moved too quickly. He said too much. He laid there for a moment, letting your unspoken rejection settle into his skin, allowing his heart to slowly accept the ache that would most likely accompany him until sunrise. The night felt lonelier as he abandoned his phone, hands covering his face in utter shame. He should have stopped. He should have known he would make you uncomfortable. He wasn't sure he would be able to face you in the morning. The breeze entering his room did nothing to stop the sweat that clung to his skin, Hitoshi begrudgingly getting up for the bathroom. He didn't care how late it was. A cold shower was the only thing to relieve him now. He felt a chill as he emerged from the bathroom, towel over his shoulders with his hair hanging over his tired eyes. The water pounding against his back barely helped, his mind still swirling with conflicting emotions that continued to eat away at his sanity. Muffled footsteps emanated from the main hallway, yet he paid little mind to it. It could either be Shoto or Hanta, up to get a drink or late-night snack. Or even the big man, Rikido, too restless to get a good night's sleep. He hoped he wouldn't be as restless tonight, despite the circumstances. However, he never expected the person to knock at his door, a hesitant rapping of knuckles against wood. Fatigue was replaced by curiosity, and was quickly ebbed into denial about who could be on the other side of his door. No, he thought. There was no way. Maybe it was one of his friends, Mina, Denki, anyone, who initiated an impulsive slumber party at 3 a.m. Maybe it was someone who needed his help getting Ochako down from the ceiling caused by her quirk-induced sleepwalking. Or, hell, maybe it was Yuga offering him cheese at an ungodly hour. It couldn't have been the person he was hoping for all this time. By the time Hitoshi opened the door, a blush instantly colored his cheeks, both by your similarly red-tinted face and his lack of a shirt. Hey.
Hi. I didn't think you were coming.
Why wouldn't I? You shot back. You were the one who told me to. You tried desperately not to stare at the man before you, busying yourself with your twiddling thumbs. Hitoshi eventually let you in, grabbing a shirt that he had lying around, thankfully, and throwing it on. His heart was running amok, his mind even more so, rampaging thoughts causing him to grow uneasy. It was just the two of you. How was he supposed to act in this situation, after having practically confessed to you on the phone just minutes prior, after thinking you had rejected him? So, you started, taking a seat on his bed.
So,
he repeated, doing the same. A brief silence lingered, the air suddenly heavy with expectancy. He could feel the weight of the reason why you were here, the lump in his throat reminding him of the words he had spoken to get to this moment. You exhaled, the first sound in what felt like eternity. What you said on call? Did you mean it? You were instantly getting to the heart of the matter, which simultaneously terrified and excited him.
I wouldn't lie about something like that.
You couldn't help but smile, though a little bittersweet. I guess it's still hard for me to believe.
Well,
he treaded carefully, heart rising to his throat.
I did say I would prove to you how serious I am, but only if you'll let me.
I wouldn't be here otherwise, you replied almost instantly. Despite your words, Hitoshi could still see the hesitation dancing in your eyes, resulting in him offering his rather clammy hand to you. He caressed your skin with his thumb, a quiet means of reassurance that would hopefully ease your nerves. Hitoshi wanted to make this absurd experience as comfortable as possible, for both your sake and his. He shifted so he was facing you, and you mirrored him, your knee bumping his.
Are you okay like this?
He asked, tone soothing despite the fire burning deep in his chest. This was happening. This was actually happening. You gave an affirmative hum, bottom lip between your teeth. This was definitely unnatural for him. Somehow, you managed to coax out the intimate nature he's hidden for so long, flecks of glittering gold tucked away in the dark, burning faintly against the abyss. A deep breath escaped him. Hitoshi started off slow. He brought your hand towards his face, and with a phantom-like touch, landed a soft peck on each of your knuckles. His quiet gaze looked to you for a reaction. That's fine. You can keep going, you told him, shyly looking off to the side. Flames crawled up his back at the sight, but he held himself back. He carefully twisted your hand, cradling your fingers as his lips moved to kiss your wrist. Your heartbeat was quick beneath his touch, He wondered if his heart matched the rhythm of yours. He traveled up to kiss your palm, guiding your fingers to cup his face. Your touch was warm, overwhelmingly comforting. He didn't want to admit just how starved he was of this level of affection. "Closer," you uttered out of nowhere. Hitoshi's heart jumped at the sudden demand, and you blinked wildly in surprise. Sorry, You nearly pulled away, but Hitoshi held a firm grip on your hand.
It's fine, don't worry,
he said with a small laugh. As per your request, his fingers traced down your arms, running against the goosebumps speckled across your skin. He gently nudged your elbow, leading your arm to rest on his shoulder. His gaze traveled to your legs, lingering for a split second as his hands hovered over them.
May I?
Please. Your voice was soft, moving every fiber of him with a force that could have crushed his heart. His hands began to tremble, out of sheer excitement or anxiety, he didn't know, hooking around your legs and easily pulling you towards him. You landed on his lap, and he really hoped you couldn't feel his growing excitement. Your hand had resorted to playing with the collar of his shirt, while the other fiddled nervously with your shorts. He cupped the latter with his own hand, lacing your fingers with his.
How are you feeling?
He asked, gingerly stroking your thumb.
I hope this isn't too far.
Not far enough, you replied. His heart thundered from your response, sending jolts of electricity that left his skin tingling. I want you closer, Hitoshi. The unexpected command momentarily left him speechless, a rush of warmth flourishing and settling in his stomach. But he obliged. Of course, he obliged. His hand found its way to the small of your back, bringing you even closer. Blazing purple eyes landed on your lips, feelings of need and desperation growing unbearable. Every part of him wanted to kiss you right then and there, but that would be no fun. He wanted you to ask for it. He wanted to see how long it would take for you to take what was rightfully yours. He moved from your lips, instead planting a kiss on your forehead. Closer, you insisted, squeezing his hand. Hitoshi only smirked. He kissed the bridge of your nose. Closer. He kissed both of your cheeks. Closer. He kissed your chin. Hitoshi. You wriggled impatiently in his lap. He laughed, a deep rumble in his throat.
What is it, kitten? What is it that you want?
I want... You cut yourself off, cheeks glowing pink in the dim room. I want you... closer.
I am closer.
Not close enough, you argued. Hitoshi could hear that you were just as exasperated as he was, and he could feel his excitement rising. He cupped the back of your head, fingers weaving through your hair and lightly tugging you towards him. Your breath hitched. He held his. He could feel the warmth radiating from you. He could hear your shallow breaths, nervous and uneven.
Is this close enough?
He muttered, voice raw. Your reaction had him struggling to keep his composure. The way your lashes fluttered, delicate and pretty against blushing cheeks. The way your voice quivered. The way you gasped when he tugged at your hair again. You were doing terrible things to him. He thought of the terrible things he could do to you. You swallowed, chest heaving. The words refused to be said, only the remnants of syllables clumsily strung together leaving your mouth.
What's got you breathing so heavy?
Amusement laced his tone, confidence growing with each breath you took.
You know I'm not stopping you from getting what you want, right?
But you're being a brat about it, you managed to say.
Yeah? And what are you gonna do?
And with that, feelings were let loose in a burst of hot embers. Your lips captured his, stealing his breath as your arms wrapped tightly around his neck. The feeling of your lips was nothing he could have imagined. It was surprising, neither tender or hungry, but a surreal blend of the two as you leaned further into him. Your touch burned when you caressed his cheek, lips smooth and sweet as he kissed you, again and again. Flames were rekindled. He melted. You felt like home. He pulled away, despite not wanting to. Moonlight gleamed from his window, drops of light kissing your skin as dark doe eyes stared back at him. Your lips were a perfect brushstroke of a smile, a figure of gentle effervescence and timid grace bathed under soft silver light. It was almost comical, cliché even, to experience this moment firsthand, an interaction he could only dream about on lonely, vulnerable nights. But the way your hands brushed away his hair, just for a chance to see more of him, reminded him that he was living in this beautiful, euphoria-inducing reality. Lips landed on his again, a brief peck before you shied away into his shoulder.
What happened?
He asked with a chuckle, nuzzling into your hair.
Where'd all that spunk go,
You snuggled deeper into him. My bad. Nervous vibes kicked in. He snickered. Despite the intrusive feeling of disappointment beginning to settle in his chest, making sure you were okay and comfortable was his top priority. He'll save the burning passion for another night. He laid the both of you on his bed, fumbling a little to get the blanket over you.
I hope that was okay. Sorry if I came off too aggressively tonight.
Honestly, I'm kinda glad you did. You got off his lap, lying comfortably beside him. Otherwise, we'd both be sleep-deprived idiots waiting for someone to say something.
Wait.
A warm feeling started to grow, Hitoshi's gaze immediately darting back to you.
Are you saying you were only online just to talk to me?
Your eyes widened and your lips pursed together. Your silence only served as a positive response to his question, and he couldn't stop the laugh rising in his chest. How ironic. Of all the nights he spent waiting to talk to you, the hours of sleep he lost hovering over his damned keyboard, you were doing the same thing. Oh, Hitoshi! Before he was able to fully realize what he was doing, Hitoshi had wrapped himself around you once again. He heard you laugh as he nuzzled into your neck, and he felt his heart burst in a fit of bubbly delight. What he wouldn't give to keep living in this moment. But it seemed the moment was cut short, when your squealing elicited a knock on Hitoshi's door. The both of you froze instantly, fear beginning to creep into Hitoshi's nerves at the thought of his teacher standing at the other side. You had rolled off the bed, landing on the floor with a soft thud. You scrambled to hide, eventually shuffling into his closet with much effort. You faced enough discipline from Aizawa this week because of your friends, and you weren't looking to face any more. Hitoshi slowly walked to his door, swallowing his nerves as he grabbed the handle. Twisting it, he flinched the moment he saw dark hair looming on the other side, but relief dropped his shoulders when the figure standing before him was none other than his classmate.
Hey, dude.
Waved Hanta with a tired smile.
Everything cool in here? I could hear you from down the hall. Yeah. It's just... It's unlike you to make this much noise this late. Are you sure everything's okay? Yes, Hanta. We're fine.
Hitoshi immediately bit his tongue, cursing his lack of sleep and sudden rush of panic for letting his mouth run. Hanta tilted his head, and a smirk instantly formed when he looked past Hitoshi and into his room. Hitoshi followed his gaze, and a small blush tinted his cheeks when he saw you peeking your head from the corner. You gave an awkward wave.
I see. Sorry to interrupt you two. No, it's not like that.
Hitoshi stuttered.
No, it's cool. I won't say anything to Aizawa.
Hanta gave him a knowing pat on the shoulder.
But whatever you two are doing, just keep it down. There are other people on this floor, you know.
Hanta winked playfully, bidding you and Hitoshi goodnight before walking back to his room. Hitoshi groaned into his palm, shutting the door as he shuffled back into your waiting arms. He waddled the two of you back to his bed, where he plopped into his pillow with you resting beside him. Glad it wasn't Aizawa, you quipped, earning a low hum as a response. You tired? Hitoshi shook his head, refusing to let sleep grab hold of him, despite his eyes beginning to close. He felt you caress his cheek, a gentle touch that slipped him further into his weariness. We'll talk more tomorrow, okay? Get some sleep. I'll be here when you wake up. His heart grew warm at your words, blindly landing a soft peck on your face. You exhaled a laugh and did the same. Good night, Toshi. Late nights bring about honesty, and nothing was more honest than your warmth and heartbeat pressed against his as you both faded into the world of dreams.
It's 1:45 in the morning, you're staying up late. Guess I am too, 'cause I can bear the thought of you lying there in your empty bed, talking to someone new. 'Cause who needs dreams when there's a chance you could take me back? In a heartbeat, something I said that made you laugh, that never would have said if I had gone to sleep. Once upon a time I was in your arms. Not too long ago you were holding my heart. And if the movie credits fade to black,